Everyone, it's Logan here at Peak Health Revolution, where we are focused on reducing chronic pain and optimizing for health. I know everyone has their aches and pains, but today I am going to tell you a story of one of the most defeating moments that I have had and what I learned from that experience. So to get us started off with a story, I'm going to ask a simple question of do you guys know how long 600 meters is? The answer is it is not all that far, but that's exactly how long it took me before I just had crippling knee pain. I will never forget that number. It was my absolute lowest moment. I was going for a run in Cal Park on a nice sunny spring morning. I knew that I had knee pain, so I was going to get off to a slow start. I parked my car and I started off at a nice slow pace. But 600 meters in, I stopped and checked my phone to see how far I got, pulled up my Strava, and it was showing me just 600 meters. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I took a slow start and the pain is bad enough. I don't think I can run through it today. It's just too much. So defeated, I walked back to my car after just 600 meters. And that was the time that it was like that really clear defining moment of I need to fix this. This is not a very far distance. This is a big problem for me. So of course I deleted the Strava run because that was just too embarrassing at the time. And that was when I started to learn about the cause of that knee pain and really dive deep into it. So the good news about the whole experience, though, is that I learned a ton, both for myself with managing that pain, but now also I've applied that to tons of other people to help them manage their pain and get back to doing what they love. So what's the actual story on how the knee pain came about? It all actually makes a lot of sense when you look at my history. I was a goalie playing hockey growing up and took a ton of slap shots off of my knees before they had the little knee protectors that they have for goalies now. And there's one guy, probably the hardest shot on the team, debatably hardest shot in the league, who always seemed to be able to find my knees with the puck. And I would just nauseating pain when a bare puck would hit that knee. So lots of hockey, but not only that, I decided, hey, some football, we should throw that in there too. So I was really tough on my knees going through high school. Finally, high school finished off. I was done with football. I was done with hockey. Sad day for me, but my knees were probably pretty grateful for it. Except it didn't take me very long before I decided that fighting forest fires in the summer while I was going through university was what I wanted to do, which meant running through forests, basically up and down mountainsides and rappelling from a helicopter, which I definitely had a couple hard landings on. So that just aided in that knee pain, but it really all has a super defining moment for me. I knew that the recruitment camp was going to be super difficult, so I started training ahead of time, and I didn't exactly ease myself into it. I dove right into it and started training by wearing my heavy leather steel-toed boots and a 65-pound weight vest and started running in that. And now I look at that and I'm like, well, no wonder your knees were a disaster. But at camp, we were running probably 5 to 10 kilometers most days. And we would have to march up and down stairs to go up into the tower to practice rappelling down. So when I wasn't doing morning fitness, it was basically all day up and down stairs to practice those rappels. And then we had our big run as part of the morning fitness one day where we were doing about 15K, which at the time for me was the longest run I had ever gone on. And I remember the whole last quarter of the way back, just this sharp stabbing knee pain. And I will never forget that feeling. So I nursed my knee through the rest of the camp and the whole first fire season. And that was honestly the start of that very chronic knee pain. Despite being hard on them when I was younger, I didn't actually have much pain until this point in time where I just had put too many brutal moments on them. And that was the start of that journey for me. But good news, eventually the pain did get better. So if you have pain and you think that it's chronic pain that you're going to have to live with forever, don't feel that way. Know that there is a way out of that. Even hypothetically, if there's some degeneration there, you can do a lot to support whatever joint might be giving you pain. And I think that's one of the biggest things to take away from this is that there's always something you can do to improve that situation. At the time, if you would have asked me, I would have been like, I'm in chronic knee pain for the rest of my life. But when you figure out what's going on and you're able to actually work on that problem, it does get better. The thing is, it does take time to figure out what exactly it is that you need to do. To be honest, I had to go through 6 years of school, 4 years of clinical practice. I've been coaching for 2 years. And just now is it where I actually feel like quite confident with most cases of pain that walk through the door that I can help those people. And I would say the biggest limiting factor for people is their commitment to the process and understanding that they have an important role in that healing. They have to commit to that healing process and do work outside of their time in the clinic with practitioners, or like they have to follow the programming, not just hope that someone else can fix it for them. It is really that you are a key piece to getting yourself out of pain. So you guys have heard me go on with my story about having knee pain, but now I want to offer you guys up a solution. If you have lateral knee pain and have done a ton of running, and that's kind of seems to be the main root cause of it, here's basically our recipe that we can use to fix that. You can plug and play with different exercises. We're not going to nail on specific exercises. We're going to cover off specific themes that we do need to cover to get out of pain. There's really going to be 3 key steps to this. Number 1 is that you need to release your TFL muscle. Number 2 is that you need to work on strengthening your glutes. The reason why these first 2 steps are so important is because most of that lateral knee pain is coming from your IT band coming down and affecting that knee, and the TFL and the glute are where that attaches. That's why it's so important. The exact exercise or mechanism that you use to get that relief is not as important as understanding that that's what you need to do. You can stretch your TFL, you can massage it, you can do self-massage, you can foam roll. There's so many options here that we have at our disposal, but that's the general principle. We need to get a release through that hip flexor, through that TFL, and we need to work on strengthening our glutes. Our glutes are obviously a big muscle, multiple kind of muscles there, and we want to work on all 3 of them. So your glute max, your glute medius, and your glute minimus. It doesn't matter so much that you know exactly what these are, but that we're working the glutes from different angles. Then what we want to do is step 3, we want to slowly add mileage back in. One of the biggest mistakes that I see is people say, hey, I'm starting to feel good, and then they go all out again and the pain comes back on them. You just want to ease into this and stop when you start feeling pain again, and then go back and continue to work on it. See if the next time you go out, you can get a little bit further, but really don't run through the pain. This isn't the time to work through the pain. It's a time to recover and get past that problem. Order is really important here with those first 2 steps, making sure that we release the hip flexors before we go and we work on the glutes. And the reason why is I'll explain it here. Imagine if this is my hand and I have a rope pulling it this way and I have another rope pulling it this way. If I'm tipped over like this, so this is going to represent us having tight hip flexors. So the rope on this side is tighter than the one on this side. If we want to have stronger glutes, we can't just try and pull it over to this side. What's actually easier is if we let a bit of tension off of this other side, that gives us the ability to start pulling it over this way. So we always want to release tight muscles before we go in and strengthen the weaker ones. So work on your hip flexors, then go work on your hip extensors. So TFL first, glutes second. Then after you've spent significant time working on those first 2 steps, now it's time for step 3 to start incorporating, getting back into it. So go nice and slow. You don't want to have a whole bunch of inflammation going back into that knee. You've spent a little bit of time strengthening the area around the hips. Now it's time to start challenging that knee again. We've let the inflammation come down, and the last thing that we want is for that inflammation to come back up. Now, this might sound like a really simple recipe, but it works. I guarantee it works. It's super simple, but at the same time, it can get really complicated. So pick some exercises, start doing them, see if you get results. If you're not, then reach out for help. If you guys need help with this, send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram. Tell me what's going on a little bit. Or if you're really ready to get out of that pain and get a program put together for you, you can click the link in the description here, and I will jump on a call with you and talk about some of the program options I have available and see if something's right for you. And I'm going to actually give you guys one more bonus piece of advice here. We're going to call this essentially step 4. And that is, if your balance is terrible, you're going to have to work on your balance to see this get better as well. So if you don't have balance and stability at your ankle and your hip, it's going to be really hard on your knees to basically take the load of what those two are not doing. So funny little story is like I had pretty bad balance, and I had a lady come in who was about 80 years old. She had had a stroke. She had rehab from her stroke, and we were just talking, and she had said, part of what I was working on was my balance and getting into a single leg stance for up to, like, I think it was a minute that she was up to now. And she's like, when I started, I couldn't do 5 seconds, kind of a thing. So I just thought not too much of it. She let her leave the clinic, and then I had a minute of downtime after that. And I was like, let's see how long I can go. And I don't remember the number, but it was really embarrassingly low. And from that time forward, I was like, if she smoked me, I should probably be working on getting a little bit better balance. Started doing some balance work. And honestly, that was another really big key piece to my knees improving, was both step 1 and 2, but also this kind of bonus step of work on your balance and your stability. Now, here's the one thing that I have to tell you guys about, though, is that as much as you might think that you have this thing completely behind you after putting in the work, you will have to continue to probably do a little bit of homework on it from time to time, do some correctives, stay on top of it so that it doesn't come back. I myself hit a pretty big milestone last year when I was able to go from a relatively sedentary lifestyle to doing the biggest hike of my life, which was 125K with a loaded pack over 7 days, 8 days, something like that. And it was the biggest one I had done. And I did it with zero knee pain the entire time, tons of mileage, tons of up and down, rough terrain, and there was no pain, but I had to continue with those correctives. I had to prep for it. I couldn't have just gone straight out and done it, but it does tell you that these things can get better. I went from 600 meters to over 125 kilometers. That is a huge difference. So you guys, just a reminder, if you are struggling with pain, number 1, know you can get out of pain. Number 2, if you need a little bit of help, just send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram. I'm always happy to help out as much as I can. And number 3, if you're like, I really need to get out of this pain and it's more complicated than something that's kind of an easy fix and you've tried a bunch of things and you're just not getting progress, click the link in the description and book a call with me, and we can talk about what's going on and see if I have a solution for you. And if I do, we can get you started on a program. And you guys, as always, with any sign off from a YouTube video, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this. Have a good one.